Today, we explore how to transform the HP EliteDesk 800 Mini G4 into a playable 1080p gaming machine. Ever wondered if this compact PC could handle intense gaming with the addition of a dedicated GPU? In this project, we're diving deep into the step-by-step process of installing an NVIDIA RTX A2000 on a mini PC that doesn't officially support GPUs. Using available adapters and some 3D design skills, we'll transform a low-cost, older office mini PC into a capable gaming machine. By the end, it'll be ready to handle most games at 1080p with medium graphics settings. Whether you're into innovative DIY projects or just a fan of tech, stick around, sit back, relax, and enjoy as we put together PC components and 3D printed parts. So now, let's get started. Now let's remove the top cover and see what's inside. Here we have two M2 slots. However, there isn't a PCIe slot, so how can we install a GPU? To install a graphics card, we need a PCIe X16 slot, a 75-watt 12-volt power source, adequate space for the card to fit comfortably, which none of these are available in this mini PC. So let's tackle each challenge step by step and find a solution. Challenge number 1, adding a PCIe by 16 slot. Since this mini PC has two M.2 NVMe slots, I'll use an M2 to PCIe X16 adapter. This adapter will let me install a GPU via the M.2 slot. However, the GPU will run at PCIe X4, which will sacrifice some performance. But at this price point, I really can't complain about that. So now challenge number 1 is solved. However, the M.2 slot only provides a 3.3 volt power source, and the M.2 to PCIe adapter requires one SATA power input. Let's move on to tackle challenge number 2, the 75-watt 12-volt power source. Some folks use a 20-volt to 12-volt step-down board, but I'll use a Pico PSU that matches the mini PC's power input. And there it is, a 20-volt input, 200-watt Pico PSU. That way I can use a shared AC adapter to power both the PC and the Pico PSU. I used a voltmeter to measure the DC jack pins to identify which one is the ground and which one is the positive voltage line. Here's what I discovered. The outside barrel is ground, and one of the pins provides 19.5 volts. The middle pin is an adapter signal for the BIOS. Avoid touching it, and carefully solder the wires to prevent contact with the middle pin. I decided to solder the wires directly to the DC jack and avoid routing the wires through the motherboard to reduce the risk of them touching other components. Now, let's use the voltmeter to test the soldered wire cable to ensure the connections are working correctly. Okay, the wire is successfully passing 19.9 volts from the AC adapter. Now let's reinstall the motherboard. I've soldered the other end of the wires to the Pico PSU, and here it is. Now, the problem of the lack of a power source for the GPU is solved. However, we don't have a place to mount the GPU to the PC chassis. Let's tackle this challenge next. I think we can use these holes to mount the GPU, but we need a bracket, so let's design a 3D model for it. First, we need to measure the distance between each mounting hole to ensure accurate placement and compatibility. Let's grab a ruler or caliper to get precise measurements for this step. I designed it so that one side is attached to the chassis, while the other is connected to the PCIe adapter. All right, here it is, the 3D printed PCIe bracket. The screw hole alignment is fine. Now, let's secure the M2 to PCIe adapter to the 3D printed bracket using the two screws. Now, let's move on to install the M.2 NVMe to PCIe adapter into the M.2 slot. Now, let's secure the 3D printed PCIe bracket to the PC chassis with the 2 screws. Here is an HP Elite Desk 800G4 Mini. Is equipped with a PCIe slot. You can install your favorite card to transform this mini PC into a gaming PC, NAS server, or home lab server. So this PC is very useful now. Now let's connect the SATA power cable from the Pico PSU to the PCIe adapter. I think the Pico PSU board should have a shroud to protect it, so now let's design a 3D model for it. The Pico PSU becomes hot during operation, so I want to mount it right above the CPU fan. This way it could help keep it cool and prevent overheating. And here is the Pico PSU bracket. Now let's mount the Pico PSU using the 3D printed bracket. Now let's install the GPU. Since designing the screw hole to fit the available screws requires precision and a huge amount of 3D design work, I decided to use zip ties to attach the PSU kit to the GPU fan only. Now let's work on cable management. The Pico PSU functions similarly to a normal PSU. To activate it, I need to connect pin 4 and pin 5, which are the ground pin and activation pin respectively, in order to turn the Pico PSU on. Alright, now that we have installed a dual slot GPU in this PC, the original top cover no longer fits. Therefore, we are now facing challenge number 3, making space for the GPU. I designed a new top cover to accommodate the PC with a dual slot GPU installed. The overall case dimensions are 180 millimeters by 180 millimeters by 72 millimeters, with a volume of approximately 2.3 liters. Here's the top cover. Let's inspect the print quality. What do you think? Please let me know in the comments. I need 2 female thread insert nuts for the top cover. Now, I will show you how to detach the front bezel from the original top cover. Undo 2 screws and then gently push the clips to release the front bezel from the top cover. Now, let's attach the front bezel to the 3D printed top cover. Now let's reinstall the 2 screws. The front bezel doesn't cover the entire front plate of the 3D printed top cover. So now, let's design the remaining part of the front bezel. The front bezel consists of 2 layers, and the components inside are not visible unless viewed from a 45-degree angle from bottom to top. And here's the 3D printed front plate. I need 3 female insert nuts for it. In fact, there's still about a 1 millimeter misalignment, and I'll address it during my free time to correct it later. Now let's secure the 3D printed front plate to the 3D printed top cover using 3 screws. Do you like it? You can reward me with a like and a subscribe. It'll help motivate me to create more projects like this for you. Now let's attach the top cover to the PC. The top cover can be secured to the chassis with 4 screws. In fact, the holes on the chassis that I used for screws were not originally screw holes, and they were too small. So, I used a 3mm drill bit to enlarge the holes, allowing the M3 screws to pass through. I think the GPU should have a cover to improve its appearance and hide some mesh here. So now let's design a 3D cover for it. And here's my 3D model design for the cover and backplate bracket for the GPU. This bracket will be used to mount the GPU to the case and to hide some of the mesh from the GPU's original bracket. And here it is. I need 2 female insert nuts for the GPU backplate bracket. Now let's secure the 3D printed GPU bracket to the 3D printed top cover using 3 screws. And lastly, secure the GPU to the 3D printed bracket with a screw. All right, the whole project is almost done. Let's preview what the final project looks like. The 3D printed objects are not perfect, and most of them lack polish due to the limited capabilities of a home-use 3D printer. However, the idea has been shared with the world, right? Whether this project is worthwhile depends on individual needs and requirements. Ultimately, it serves to demonstrate the concept of DIY, overcoming limitations, and tackling challenges. It's great for hobbyists, too. Although the project requires significant skill and experience, I strongly advise against trying this at home if you're not familiar with this type of work. Now, let's talk about the AC adapter to power the PC and GPU. I have an original HP 200-watt AC adapter. It's heavy and doesn't feel cheap at all. In fact, a 300-watt power supply is required to meet the A2000 GPU's requirements. But since I've only installed a 35-watt CPU, I'll use this AC adapter for this setup. Now let's run a GPU stress test with FurMark and check the GPU's total power draw. The GPU power draw is 70 watts and achieved a pretty good FurMark score. The GPU temperature is also excellent, reaching only 62 degrees Celsius during the stress test. Let's run a CPU stress test. The CPU temperature is good. However, the fan is noticeably loud since I'm still using the stock CPU fan. I think we can reduce the fan noise by replacing it with a new CPU cooler. It might be fun to try that for the next project. What do you think? One important thing to mention is that when I use a 65-watt AC adapter, the PC with an Intel Core i7-8700T installed only achieves around 2,600 scores in the CPU-Z benchmark test. However, with a 200-watt AC adapter, it can achieve up to a 3,200 score in the same benchmark test. As you can see, the adapter has a significant impact on the overall PC performance. Now, let's try out some gameplay. The first game I tried is Resident Evil 4 Remake at 1080p with performance mode graphics settings. The game achieved around 80 FPS. However, this FPS is far below what the RTX A2000 can achieve on a PCIe 4.0 by 16 system. Now let's move on to God of War at 1080p with the graphics preset set to original and DLSS set to quality. The gameplay achieves around 70 FPS. I think if I lock the frame rate to 60 FPS, the CPU fan will be quieter, and I'll be able to enjoy the game all day long. The next game I want to test is The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. At 1080p with the graphics preset set to medium, the gameplay achieves around 85 FPS. There's nothing to complain about regarding the gaming performance, especially considering this PC is incredibly compact, with a volume of only around 2.3 liters. The last game I want to test here is Doom Eternal at 1080p with medium graphics settings. The gameplay achieves an impressive FPS of over 120. Though this game is old, it's still a lot of fun to play. Based on these gameplay tests, this PC setup delivers solid 1080p gaming performance. Most games achieve between 70 FPS and over 120 FPS with medium graphics preset settings. If you want higher gameplay FPS, you can lower the graphics preset to low, and this PC setup will provide decent gameplay FPS. Alternatively, if you prefer better graphics quality, you can set the game's graphics preset to high and still enjoy smooth gameplay, with most games running around 60 FPS.